Some slight movement. Her responses and cognitive abilities seem to work as intended. Good morning, my dear. Now for streets.
Well, that's a peculiar start. You've been seemingly assembled, but why and by whom? Your overlord has a temper. You've been given a gift that allows you to see the unseen. Your overlord beckons you to choose a rune, and if you're like me, who knows nothing about Norse runes, then you'll likely choose poorly. The overlord is outraged that you've forgotten your own history. Time to hit the vents. There's some kind of audio recorder awaiting you there. The voice calls you Alice, and he calls that thing the spirit, and he also urges you to escape and find him. He doesn't specifically name himself, but the log at the top of the screen calls him Henrik Anderson with 2 S's. Cool. Using her sight, Alice will be guided through corridors of what seems like some sort of lab. You find your first keypad with the combo scrawled in highlighter on the wall. The game's trying to teach you to observe every space using your sight, but that won't be a problem because the sight also doubles as a sort of predator vision that aids in dark area traversal. Combo locks like this will be a recurring gameplay element for the entirety of the game. Some doors will have a combo you have to find somewhere in the environment, others require some kind of security clearance, or you might just hack your way through. I'm getting ahead of myself. You'll be using her sight ability for the whole game, and the cooldown for it's extremely generous, so you'll very seldom feel left in the dark. In one of the lab spaces, there's a first audio log of the game from a scientist very concerned with Dr. Anderson shutting down something, as he says the roots are spreading to populated areas, and the creatures are coming through. Whatever that means. The date of the log is 2027. Interesting. Back in the vents, you see your first evidence of creatures in here. I bought this game based on still images alone and had no reference for what I was in for. Once Alice escapes the vents again, she finds some kind of incredible statue with an altar that turns out to be a save point. The spirit that awakened Alice threatens you through the statue, and you proceed onward. Time for the sight. I was greeted very rudely by a mutant-looking naked man with some sort of antlers on his head. Oh no. Is this going to be one of those games where I spend most of my time crouching and creeping around a slowly patrolling AI enemy force with no real means of protection? Sort of, but also not really. These forlorn-sounding beings are ever-present in this adventure, but eventually Alice will unlock a means of fighting back. Thankfully. So I bypass a couple of these antler creatures and continue down the dark halls while an incredibly tense soundtrack plays in the background. When I find an elevator, I'm grateful, till I see one of those unfriendly, tortured souls in there. The art style and level design is super interesting, and it had me hooked at this point. It's sci-fi environments with a dark and dilapidated feel. Then there are these otherworldly tenets of this place and the spirit that put Alice together. All this is a very specific design, and this team had a vision, and they nailed it here. Alice continues to follow the frost symbols, and she finds the spirit inhabiting the statue speaking to a terrifying creature. This building is labeled with Boar Corp everywhere, and there are signs of a previous prominence that's been replaced with complete disrepair. All the enemies are easily avoidable at this point, but they are still unnerving. The backing tracks are often haunting synth sounds or scratching noises that add a ton of atmosphere as you walk through intensely dark areas with wailing, tortured creatures around. The video effect of Alice's gift gives you the capability to traverse the dark areas, but it also adds a very surreal filter to everything. And it also adds tons of extra atmosphere to areas that are already dripping with it. Following further frost symbols, Alice encounters several strange Norse artifacts, along with accompanying logs from the scientists, explaining the Bohr Company created a rift that tore into the 9 realms of Asgard. It turns out that Norse mythology was less myth and more partially forgotten history. They carried some of these artifacts back to study them, and the strange creatures found their ways back in with them. As Alice explores deeper and deeper in the lab, the environment starts to come alive with strange vines or moving limbs sprawling about the place. When I came to this flower-looking thing, I popped my collar and went full YOLO. This is one of the portals. Oh, hell no. Those things are terrifying. Even in full sprint, they catch me. Someone comes and saves Alice, but her poor body has seen better days. She awakens to find the good doctor Henrik Anderson has found her. Well, is he really good? He looks like a Bond villain. He has replaced her stolen arm with some kind of mechanical monstrosity. He fixed Alice's voice, but now she sounds like his wife Sarah. Turns out Henrik was the CEO of Bohr Corp, who developed the technology creating the rifts, hence his Dr. Evil look. His wife is on the radio as well, and she's been stuck on the surface with the same myriad tribulations going on above. There's minimal voice acting in this game. The cast is mostly comprised of Henrik, his wife, Alice, and sparse audio logs from the assorted scientists. Often they have a Swedish accent, and it seems as English as their second language. To me, all this voice acting is excellent, and it adds to the atmosphere of the place. As you can tell, I'm feeling all of this. Cutting to the point, your arm's given a name by Henrik.
The arm is called Jerngreper.
It has its own abilities, just like your sight. This arm can absorb the security codes and some of the monstrosities around and help you get through doors. It will eventually be upgraded to do short-range blasts, to drop ladders, and even do charged energy blasts to eliminate foes. The main path of this game is fairly straightforward and linear, but there are always side rooms that you can find a vent to access, or maybe scan a new security key to gain entry. These rooms reward you with basic collectibles, audio logs, and more background knowledge, and sometimes upgrades for Alice's mega arm. At this point, Henrik and Sarah have tasked you with finding several artifacts that can close rifts and return the status quo. Henrik says you're the only one who can do it, which is funny because he literally just rescued you from the bowels of Helheim. From here, Alice will explore the realms of Asgard looking for artifacts while being talked to through this ordeal by Henrik. There are some twists and turns along the way, but at this point, I think most people will know if they're into this or not. I'd highly recommend anyone intrigued at this point should give it a try. This game has a setting that's highly original. The sound design is truly remarkable. There are times when they'll have a backing track with unnerving industrial noise. Sometimes they'll allow you to feast on the diegetic sounds of the environment, which often includes the tortured howls of the inhabitants of the different areas. When you're in the different Norse realms, the sounds will change into more of a tribal drum beat or some kind of throat singing. No matter where you are, the sound design is always perfectly in tune with that area. I'm going to add a spoilers time code here. I am going to try and maintain brevity for the story recap, but anyone who's seen my story recap videos knows brevity is not my forte. Future Shane here. I'm still writing the script, and I ended up going pretty hard. So for those staying for the long run, it's going to be pretty thorough after all. Alright, now that those guys are gone, Cool Cats and Kittens can continue from here. Alice's first task is to find an entry point to Niflheim. This is where she gets the ability to blast electronics from afar with Yarngraper. Yeah, I'm not even trying with that. Doing so will require energy, and monitoring this energy will be a significant concern throughout the game. She can find small batteries that fill up 1 bar at a time, or there are charging stations that she can activate to fill to full if you search well enough. Further audio logs tell us the whole installation is powered by Thor's hammer. This energy is more stable than any of the other artifacts, and Henrik and his wife named the energy Atrium after the creator of the hammer. Shortly after learning to deal with these new gameplay mechanics, you find the portal and wind up in Niflheim. The audio log from a researcher left for Henrik says that one of their outposts was destroyed, but they're continuing with further construction while staying as quiet as possible. They're very concerned with what he calls the natives. Further down the trail, you get your first encounter with one such native. See what I mean about the atmosphere? They got the low, deep voice throat singing thing going on. It sets a great tone. You walk through these frozen environments that have assorted labs strewn in between the open spaces. The modernity of the labs clashes anachronistically with the natural frozen landscapes that seem almost lost in time. Okay, yeah, this had an effect on me, clearly. In one of these labs, Alice can scan her first security ID that helps her open up the new area. Her arm's cleverly implemented, and it's a well-balanced tool. After being caught by one of the natives, it takes me to this strange plane where I'm required to set these balls on pedestals before I'm allowed to return to my place of death. I'm more careful the second time as I pass Sauron's eye. With the key I found, I can return to the main lab, which is in Midgard, by the way. I don't know if I clarified that before. Back at the lab, we meet the namesake of the game, the Apsulov. An audio log from Sarah recounts a story about a giant tasked with building a wall for the gods. If he finished in the specified time, the gods promised him he could marry goddess Freya. However, the gods cheated him, and once he was almost finished, Thor crushed his head with his hammer. Sarah speculates that his task was not a wall at all, but a statue. A statue now in the middle of the lab. Further speculation is that this statue can control the roots of Yggdrasil. This is the Apsulov. This is where the keys from the different realms need to be inserted. Man, this clash of different visual designs works so well for me. Apsulov's in the research division, but first, back to Henrik. You hand him the key from Niflheim, which excites him greatly. He quickly ushers Alice out of the room while brushing aside her questions about, everything. I found a lab with a glowing red tablet nearby. You'll return to Henrik numerous times, and having him so close to this room really had me speculating on what the heck this room was. Patience, Shep. Patience. Down the hall, Henrik shows his first signs of being more than just a Bond villain. He's starting to almost sound sympathetic. I had honestly forgotten about the whole being assembled by a robot thing at this point. I was deep in this world. But now that he brings it up, though, who is Alice? We venture to medical to find out. An audio log reveals that the lab is hundreds of meters below northern Sweden. That explains the Swedish accents. Pretty good now. Makes sense. This researcher has safety concerns about the protocols in this lab. All these relics have been pulled from different realms, and they're surrounded by unprotected scientists all day long. She gives an anecdote about how her tablet was low on battery, but once she walked back to her quarters, it was almost full. That's kind of neat. Or terrifying if you're someone working in that environment, I suppose. I find a few more atrium upgrades for Alice's arm. Henrik unlocks the power to unleash a strong burst of energy with Yarngraper. There's a spirit blocking our path, and this is the first of many enemies that will be destroyed in this way. Henceforth, if you kill an enemy with the arm, they're removed from the path for a while, but their essence will slowly return. So if you don't get on your horse and ride, you may get caught unawares, and they might bite you on the ass.
By the gods, I see that ahead of you there's a whole lot of vermin. The myth describes them as trolls. We accidentally brought them back from Midgard on an expedition to retrieve a mythical harp from a magical creature which we destroyed. Back then, they were blind. But when they started spreading here, they evolved. And now, they aren't blind anymore. And they're aggressive and fast. Always be ready with a large pulse of Jerngripper.
Listen to the chirping sounds of these creatures combined with the noises of machinery churning all around you. Yeah, that's good, right? I defeated some of those trolls, but I was trying my darndest to conserve my extra batteries with my atrium energy. If you find one of these charging panels nearby, make sure you use it so you aren't wasting expendable energy. Whew! I made it through the troll trials. I'm safe. Okay, yeah, no problem, I guess. At the end of that trail is Mjolnir, the hammer of the gods and the power source of this facility. More fucking stylish visuals, am I right? Damn, I cannot briefly condense these story moments for the life of me. This is going to be much longer than I planned, because I just want to show off this game. I think it's super neat. From here, I did a ton of lab exploration all over the place. Lots of creepy things all over. Few audio logs describing creatures or artifacts. More security tags scanned. Eventually, I approved the remote uplink with Henrik so he can tell me about Alice's past. Alice was made with human tissue combined with artifact tissue from the other realms. The large beast that's been chasing us was another creature made before Alice. The wolf was made with human tissue and tissue from Asgard. The wolf guarded Alice during her creation and is emotionally attached to her for some reason. Returning to Henrik, he finally answers some specifics. He reinforces what we've already heard about in audio logs. He made the lab, opened the rifts to the other realms. Creatures from the other realms came back. Now the roots of the tree of Yggdrasil are spreading into And now the roots of the tree of Yggdrasil are springing. And now the roots of the tree of Yggdrasil are spreading out into Midgard. Why can't I read this? And now the roots of the tree of Yggdrasil are spreading out into Midgard, our world. Our only defense is to put the keys from the different realms into the Apsulov and take control of the tree of Yggdrasil and send these creatures back. Henrik still won't answer who Alice is specifically. He clearly knew who this body was from originally, but will not share that information. I love how much they modeled his character to be so animated when talking. Some people might find this kind of over the top, but I feel like it adds to his character. Enough meandering. First key is inserted in Apsulov, and the second is alleged to also be in another area of Niflheim. The entrance to the portal is in the East Wing. This is a long segment of exploration that I'm going to skip, but I will include that I died for a second time during this segment. This returned me to this area with the machinery and the balls that I got to put on the pedestals. This time there's an enemy patrolling the perimeter to hinder me. I outran it and jumped in the portal just in time. Each time you die, you'll be returned to this area, and each time it will become more complex with more pedestals being conjured to attempt to stop you. I'm kicking myself for never failing at these maneuvers, as I don't know what the consequences of failure actually are. I only know that success respawns you. Back in the lab, I find another audio log from a scorned employee who is convinced to drink some mysterious blood for a chance at immortality.
I never wanted to drink it. Why did I drink it? I could be with the others now. I could have been dead weeks ago. Months? How long has it been like this? Oh God, how long has it been? Make it stop. Please make it stop. Kill me. Kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me.
I think I'm starting to have an idea about who the tortured souls with the antlers are now. Finally, I find an alternate portal to Niflheim. An audio log at the entrance tells of the researchers analyzing the remains of one of the natives. They concluded that the ice was over 400,000 years old. What's more perplexing to them is that the existing creatures have remained unchanged the entirety of that time, like evolution is at a standstill in this world. That isn't terrifying at all. The sounds of these creatures permeate the walls of the cave Alice starts at. She gets to see one of the natives frozen in ice and up and close and personal. After clearing through the labs, I ended up on a trail where I could hear the snores of the natives. I felt very insecure about navigating this open space with this giant specimen sleeping nearby. That distracted me, and I kind of... Well, I fell to my death. Oops. Upon returning, I was careful to keep my eyes on the path. That is until I realized that the path itself was actually the arm of one of the natives. I'm saying natives a lot, but I'm trying to stay in universe here. Anyways, their gaze has a freezing effect on whatever they look at, and this area tasks you with running by them when they aren't looking. It's simple in gameplay, but it adds to the impeccable atmosphere. This is what killed me in the first time, and I referred to it as Sauron's Eye. At the peak of the mountain, just when you think you're about to abscond with the key, you're found out by the giants. Before they can finish you off, though, you're rescued by the beast. Yeah, I'm just gonna choose to ignore that. After the wolf flees, you return to Midgard and insert the next key into the tablet at the base of Apsulov. I'm going to leave this audio log in its entirety as it's important, and my synopsis just wouldn't do.
Mythology research, Note 2. Me and Henrik delved into the carvings and historical material recovered from Asgard. It depicts a lot of the events that we have represented in the book The Younger Edda, but some written stories seem to be minor versions of the true events. Something that really catches my attention is the final story of the Trickster Loki. The story depicts a prank where Loki has the blind Hodor fling a spear against the immortal Baldur. The blind brother didn't know that the spear was tipped with mistletoe and accidentally ended the life of Baldur. The real aftermath of this prank is very different in comparison to the ones in the Edda. Apparently, the vengeful gods went on a killing spree, ending the sons and daughter of Loki, only to eventually have him imprisoned forever. These stories keep getting worse and worse.
I'm pretty knowledgeable on Greek mythology, but my knowledge on Norse mythology is pretty limited. They tweak some things for the purposes of the game, but it's nice to have the inclusion of all kinds of logs detailing different stories. I enjoyed it. After putting the key in Apsulov, we return to Henrik, who greets us like this.
Shh! Relax. Just relax. There's something I want to show you. Something you need to see.
So we end up in a familiar realm with the mysterious balls and portal. It's dumb how tense these moments can be in this area when there's this creature nearby and you have one of these balls in your possession, but you can't run. It's another example of simple gameplay that's executed superbly to create a great mood. When you awaken, Henrik's excited to greet you. Alice, though, she's pissed because, he murdered her. But Henrik ignores this and continues to excitedly tell you that the area you've just returned from is the home of the spirit from the machine. He also believes that the spirit is in fact Loki, the trickster. Sarah explains that the last key can be found in the Well of Wisdom under the shadow of the Tree of Yggdrasil. Along the path is also something called Eye of Odin. Using this artifact, Alice can collapse the ether that the spirit resides in using the eye's divine magic. Henrik knows the location of this well. And we're off! And this is Jotunheim. This area is awesome looking, and it kind of reminds me of a screenshot from a 90s point-and-click adventure that would be like on the back of the box. That's intended as a compliment, by the way, and not an insult. I'll just get on this elevator here, go down into this pit. I won't go through this area in painful detail, but as Alice, you'll navigate through narrow tunnels and some kind of cave complex with these strange leech-looking creatures stalking nearby. At the end of the tunnel and pit segment, you'll find the items you came for. After grabbing the eye and the last key, you run over to the elevator as you're pursued by the weird leech things. Back to Midgard. We did it, guys. All keys recovered. The eye is in our possession.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Sarah?
Oh,
What's going on?
you're back. I've lost connection with Henrik. I think the spirit is taking control of the base again. Please, insert the key into the Apsulov tablet and finish this.
Oh, crap. We must make haste! Well, maybe not that much haste. I still had to go off the beaten path and find this audio log describing Helheim, which was controlled by the goddess Hel. According to Henrik, she was killed on her throne a long time ago. With no ruler, the realm's rotting away. A new creature has emerged called the Keepers of Helheim. They feed on the souls of the dead. I think we've met before. Seriously, fuck spiders, bros. The researcher on this log ponders this question.
Is this what happens when we die? We become food.
Foreshadowing. With the final key installed in the Apsulov tablet, Alice is slammed back and sent into the machine's realm. The machine assures you there's no need to destroy the realm. The keys are inserted into Apsulov. Midgard is safe now. Leave the machine be, it begs. It tries to threaten Alice. Without this area, Alice will end up in Helheim if she dies. No stopping us now. We're doing this. Unless...
Free! Finally, I can touch this world without the help of disgusting machines.
And all of this, thanks to you. You should have seen the face of Dr. Anderson when I told him about his dead wife. Using her voice, easily manipulated fool. 9 keys to lock the gate. No, 9 keys to remove the gate. Returning the universe to the states before the gods closed it to everyone but them. You even handed me the eye, the last key to my liberation. That stupid creature was useless from the start. You think I don't know all of your little party tricks? I've been watching from the very beginning. Nothing eludes me. You have outstayed your welcome. You have played all your cards. All of it a complete and utter failure. And this time, my prison won't save you.
The trickster has played us for fools. Alice awakens in Helheim. Now she has no Yarngraper to protect her. This is bad for Alice, but goddamn, I wasn't worried yet about what that meant for gameplay because, what a stunningly well-realized world. The gates at Helheim had me gawking around. Wait, no time for that, though. Alice has to escape the realm of the dead. It mostly requires simple platforming and sneaking around the Keepers. Those spider creeps are lurking everywhere, and you no longer have a Mega Man arm to protect you. Let me tell you a little secret. You may not have figured this out by now, but I fucking hate spiders. These guys give me the creeps. At the top of Helheim, there's another portal that takes us back to Midgard. There's another audio log from Henrik that reveals that he found that Loki's blood is alleged to have healing powers and can grant immortality. He was pumped about that discovery. I think we know what blood those poor researchers drank to meet their fate. Those Keepers of Helheim are now in Midgard as well, and you have to dodge them on your way back to Henrik. I found the last mythology log on my way back.
Note 8. This will be the last note for a while. A lot of things have happened, and we did some research on the god of mischief, Loki, in Note 2. The myth tells the story of the mischievous god Loki being locked underground forever, with acid slowly dripping on his flesh. But there seems to be more. To make sure that Loki could never deceive anyone ever again with his shapeshifting, a mask was melted onto his skin with powerful magic to ruin the attractive face Loki was so fond of. The mask would not only make sure that if the shapeshifting god would ever escape his imprisonment, he could be recognized, it would also start interfering with the shapeshifting itself. It would cause Loki to lose control of his form, to stop him from purposefully taking any specific shape or form, effectively ending his days of deception.
We find Henrik in a bad place. He begs us to grab a soul stone from the room of mystery I noted before. His physical body gives out on him, but he's able to transfer his soul into the soul stone, and now he's become the voice on the radio from every other game since Gears of War. He laments being tricked by Loki. His wife is dead, and Loki masqueraded as her to manipulate him to accomplish his tasks and set him free. It's time to undo this. In her current state, Alice can't accomplish this. Henrik has to upgrade her again. She grabs his mechanical eye, and she has to grab Yarngraper back from where it was lying next to the Apsulov tablet. The room of mystery is actually the room of tech upgrade, it looks like. She lies down, and we get another scene reminiscent of the beginning of our journey. Before Alice blindly heads further down the rabbit hole for Henrik, she wants answers. Before Loki finished off his work on Henrik, he made mention of his daughter Hel. It's speculated that the tissue used for Alice was likely that of Hel. Loki wants his daughter back, We take the path we came from when leaving Helheim. We have the power to fight back now, and the Keepers are far less fearsome when you have utility to clear them out. Now we head back to Helheim on purpose. No, wait. With purpose. Here we're met with a locked gate at the temple of the goddess of Hel. Alice has to prove herself by slaying the Keepers of Helheim adjacent to the temple. There are plenty of charging stations here, and I'm convinced that this was just an excuse for the devs to give us the catharsis of having near unlimited killing power. No more sneaking around and hiding from these sneaky snakes. This temple is another stunning area. The art design is so stellar for this whole game that it's difficult for me to restrain from remarking on damn near every area. We find the remains of Loki's daughter Hel. She's still residing on her throne even in death. Yarngraper absorbs the energy of her scythe, and Alice gains her true power as a half-god. She can now absorb the lost souls wandering around Hel to power her abilities. The Keepers of Helheim have no business in this realm anymore. This is our realm now. Finally, we have the capabilities to set the poor souls free, stuck to the bodies of those poor antler creatures as well. We return to Midgard now with the powers to destroy Loki. On the elevator ride to the final confrontation, Alice asks Henrik about Midgard. She's never actually seen the surface. I forgot that too. After all, this lab is below the surface of Sweden. His description of that is gray skies and cities with people toiling at their everyday lives just to stay alive. If he felt so negatively about the world, then why try and save it? Because he had Sarah and Alice. But who is Alice? He finally reveals the truth. Alice was his daughter. She fell ill, and not even his incredible company with all that power, Borcorp, could save her. Her death was the catalyst for the events of the game. They had to look further than human capabilities to save her. When Henrik and Sarah found the Apsulov, a voice revealed itself to them. Loki's voice. That voice saved Alice. Moving further with their plans, though, it also allowed Loki to infiltrate their system and lead us to the present. When he heard the voice of his wife Sarah call back from the surface, Henrik's relief from hearing his wife's voice stopped him from seeing the truth of the deceiver. Fuck that, buddy. We're gonna get back at Loki for this. We give Loki a how do you do of a blast from Yarngraper and he dissipates. He continues taunting you. He even gives you the we aren't so different you and I ball of yarn. We have to track him through the facility while occasionally giving him a blast to the face. Each time with him disappearing and then pleading for you to join him. When he's finally killed, he drags Alice with him to hell. He swells into this giant mutated mass, and you have to shoot the eyes out of the side of this thing while dodging his wild swinging arms. There are souls nearby to refill energy for the arm. Once a few of his eyes are knocked out, he's stunned and sticks out his tongue, which reveals his face to be damaged. After a couple of rounds, the leech things are unleashed to add complication, but it's easy enough. Once he's downed, a choice must be made. Loki wants you to join him. After all, the gates holding back the denizens of the different realms have just been destroyed already. There's no bringing that back. Above ground on Midgard, there's surely chaos. Just puny mortals clutching for survival. He can control this new world. He has the knowledge and the power. If you take his hand, you make a bond between gods and share control over the new world. I think not. If you choose to entomb him, like I did, you're no longer Alice. You're Hell. You control Helheim, and you can bring order to the chaos of the 9 realms that are slowly combining together into one. What are her motivations at this point? How will she rule? One is left to speculate. On the other hand, you can choose to side with your father. Or, I guess your other father, right?
What will happen now?
Oh, I have so much to show you, my dear.
Something tells me that Loki isn't planning on being fair and balanced, if you know what I mean. No matter what ending you choose, you'll get this post-credit sequence.
Father, wake up! The Apsulov has started Fimbulwinter, and Helheim has awakened from its slumber.
Awaken Odin and get my hammer. We have to pay a visit to Helheim again.
And that does it for the story. Let's meet up with all those skip spoilers people now. Apsulov is a very cohesive game. The art design goes perfectly with the sound design. The story goes hand in hand with both. Gameplay-wise, you'll often feel like an ant among giants, so you'll be creeping around rather than having some kind of power fantasy where you destroy mythological creatures. At the end, Alice will be pretty upgraded, and she'll have the ability to fight back, but combat is surely not the point of this game. I hate having to wait patiently as a patrolling guard finishes his path near me while I crouch walk past in most games. There's actually a pretty reasonable amount of that in this game, but they made it not as annoying to me because they gave the creatures a fairly narrow field of view and plenty of avenues to move past them when necessary. The sound does a lot of the heavy lifting here. Even if they can be simply ran past or easily crept around, it feels tense because of the dark atmosphere of the environments and the creepy sound design. I cannot impress upon anyone how much I enjoy the dark, creepy future tech environments, semi-reminiscent of the Alien universe, that can quickly shift to an otherworldly realm with soundtracks to add to the contrast. A+ stuff there. The voice acting was really cool, and I enjoyed all the Norse mythology references and cool stories, even the ones slightly twisted to the game's benefit. According to their website, Angry Demon Studio was created by students from Sweden after finishing school in 2017. Their first game was Unforgiving, a northern hymn, which they started in their free time after school. I want to play this game now. I like what they did here, and I'm on board with what they got going on in the future. I wanted to do a shorter, more traditional review of this game, but I'm clearly a hack fraud and don't know how to do that. It's hard for me to describe all the things I like about this game without discussing the spoilers in the story. That's why I make the story recap videos. What truly captures me about most games is the way they weave a narrative. There are games that I play purely for the gameplay, of course. I have 3,000 hours in Rainbow Six Siege, and I could not tell you what the hell is supposed to be going on there in terms of a story. But for the most part, what I want is for something to take with me. With all those hours in Siege, I get all my enjoyment while playing, and then when I'm done, I feel like I have very little to carry with me. I'll remember the feeling of wandering around the environments of Apsulov. I'll remember the journey the story took me on. I think that's worth the small amount I spent on Steam, and I think if anything I've said has interested you, then I'd recommend you give it a shot. For my next video, I want to try and do what I originally intended to do for this video. Make a short and sweet video talking about Terminator Resistance. The story in that is a bit less intriguing than the gameplay and the setting, so I think I could be more successful in that endeavor. Then again, as I said before, I'm clearly a hack fraud. Thanks for all the people that have watched my videos, liked them, commented on them. It's really neat for an amateur like me to find even a small audience that appreciates this content. Toodles.
Better!